Anytime you're ready.
All right. Good evening, guys. Time is 6:01, May 20th, 2025. We're going to go ahead and open the Planning Commission meeting. Do I have a roll call?
Mr. Howard?
Here.
Mr. Stapleton?
Here.
Mr. Watts?
Here.
Mrs. Delph?
Here.
Mr. Noel?
Here.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I make that motion.
Second.
Can I get a roll?
Mr. Stapleton?
Yay.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Delph?
Yes.
Mr. Noel?
Abstain, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public meeting and give the mic over to Mr. Nicholas Soros.
Thank you, Caleb. So I'm going to go into the Technical Review Committee staff report regarding this rezoning case. This is Planning Commission Case R-01-2025. The applicant is Jeffrey R. Anderson Real Estate Incorporated. The location of this zoning district change is 2705 Lehigh Place, lot number 5191 in the city of Moraine. The current zoning district that it resides in is an R4, which is multifamily district. The proposed zoning district that they are applying for is the B1, which is the neighborhood business district. So the applicant, Jeffrey R. Anderson Real Estate Incorporated, is applying for this zoning change for the 2705 Lehigh Place apartment complex from R4 to B1. This is a preliminary developmental step for the construction of a Wawa store at the sites that currently house a vacant Frisch's store and an apartment building. Changing the 2705 Lehigh Place zoning district to a B1 will match the 4830 South Dixie, also known as the Old Frisch's, zoning district for proper lot combination to take place in the future if the zoning is approved. This formality will be brought before the Planning Commission prior to a 30-day legal notice for a public hearing brought before City Council. All legal notices were issued per Moraine Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1127. The owner of the apartment complex, George Brand, at 2705 Lehigh Place, is in a great relationship with the current residents of the apartment complex. That is at state here for the proposal of the zoning change for the Wawa store. I will read a statement sent to me via email on the relocation of the residents, as he will be actively assisting in this effort of relocating residents to other properties that he is in ownership of in Moraine and the surrounding areas. I also reached out to the Moraine Police Department and the Moraine Fire Department, and they did not have any objections to a proposed use of this land for a 24-hour Wawa store. The Technical Review Committee does not have any objections to the proposed zoning district change from an R4 to a B1 zoning district for the purposes outlined. The Technical Review Committee would like to make sure that the Wawa store ensures that the lighting of the property does not encroach into the neighboring properties, and that is per zoning code as well. The developer will need to abide by all Ohio Building Code standards, zoning, and landscape requirements as outlined in the Moraine Codified Ordinances. Any variances that would occur from this development will need to be brought before the Board of Zoning Appeals if zoning and the lot combination is approved. The Technical Review Committee is also in agreement that this redevelopment of the Frisch's property will help bring a refreshing entrance to the city of Moraine for those traveling from neighboring cities. This will also have a healthy economic impact of jobs, fueling services, fresh food and beverages, an attraction to Moraine, and much more. This will be a unique development to the Moraine area, as it would be the only Wawa store in the Moraine, West Carrollton, Miamisburg, Jefferson Township, Miami Township, Kettering, Oakwood, and Dayton areas. Currently, there is a Wawa store open in Liberty Township, with construction occurring currently in Huber Heights for a new store. And recently, Fairborn just gave approval for the development of a Wawa store. And I also wanted to read a phone call I did receive today from a resident that did live on Pensacola as part of my Technical Review Committee staff report. I only received one phone call since the legal notices went out. And this resident is named Judy Hubner, who lives on Pensacola, and she asked that I do share her concerns that she has for the neighborhood with this development. She does have safety concerns of the neighborhood. She does have concerns of traffic throughout the neighborhood, as well as neighbors who would be living close to the development, who would be seeing the Wawa store outside their home each day. And those were the concerns that she wanted me to share today during the public hearing. If there are any questions regarding the Technical Review Committee's report after our review of this zoning district change proposal, please feel free to ask at this time. And that is all I have. Thank you.
All right.
We'll probably want to. And then I didn't know if J.R. Anderson Real Estate Company in Wawa, if you would like to come up to the microphone just to give just a little background and overview of the development, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Casey Abney. I'm project manager for Jeffrey R. Anderson Real Estate. Our firm is a Cincinnati-based real estate development company. We specialize in developing commercial real estate, but we also operate restaurants, hotels, and retail spaces. So we are working with Wawa Inc. on multiple locations in the Cincinnati area. We also have one in northern Kentucky. And they have identified Dayton as kind of a target market for them. As Nick said, Huber Heights was an area they're interested in. So we've kind of gotten to work on trying to find locations in Dayton and the metro area. Recently, obviously, we're standing here before you today. We found the one in Moraine. It's a good site for Wawa because of the visibility, closest to the highway, and traffic counts. So they said, hey, would you guys be interested in trying to put this site together for us? So we put the properties under contract. I've had many discussions with Nick regarding what the zoning code requires the store to look like, what the level of service is for the existing roadways around the site, speaking with the city engineer, and then also just kind of going through the various site planning details that pertain to safety, lighting, et cetera. So we're here today. First step of the process, looking to be able to answer any of the questions that you guys have pertaining to the site development and any operational questions relating to what Wawa is. We have Patrick Ornament here with me as well, who can kind of speak to the service and jobs that Wawa provides. So kind of with that, we're here for any questions and concerns you guys may have. You want to maybe speak to just the, what Wawa provides as a service and jobs and whatnot?
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick Ornament. I work for Wawa. Our corporate address is 260 West Baltimore Pike, Wawa, Pennsylvania, 19063. I live in Westchester, Ohio, so I didn't have to go all that ways. So Wawa is a really interesting company. The Wood family started this business in the early 1800s as an iron foundry in New Jersey. Over time, they got into farming and agriculture and the dairy business, so for a long period of time, it was a dairy company that did home deliveries. Milkman came to your house. 1960s came around, Milkman kind of went away, and they needed a way to keep the company going, so they started little food stores that were basically small grocery stores. And those existed for 30-plus years until we started selling gas. So the food part of our business is very important and a very real thing. In the early part of the 1800s, Abraham Lincoln was a debt collector for the Wood family, which is kind of interesting. We still have a couple of handwritten letters from him at our headquarters, so that's pretty unique. So this store, our stores are about $7.5 million in investment, 40 new jobs, and we are an ESOP, so the folks that work there can have stock in the company, health insurance, all the things you want. So that's a really neat part of the business that and so the folks there really take ownership like it's their store. So that's a neat thing. On the safety side, we keep at least 3 people in the store at all times, even like the night shift. So it's not just one person stuck in there all by themselves. So that's good. We have some free things for police and fire to kind of encourage them to drop by on a regular basis. So that's a nice thing. We're the largest Tesla charging partner in the United States. So we set every site up for charging stations and put conduit in for them, and then they come back with their own application later to actually put the charging units in. So I think we've got about 200 of our stores out of 1,100 actually have the charging units installed. So being right off the highway, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd like to be here. Trying to think, we have a foundation that we operate. In the last 10 or 11 years, we've donated about $160 million. I mean, some of that is big national partners like the Red Cross and the USO and folks like that. We're already involved with Dayton Children's, but that can also get very, very local, down to like the high school marching band, where you put in an application with our foundation, they review it, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not involved with that part of it, but it is a really nice thing that they're so heavily involved in, you know, charitable causes and such. And obviously, we're making a big splash throughout the region here, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana especially. The Liberty Township store got a lot of really good publicity when it opened. It's doing well, and you know, all the folks there were excited about it. So we try to be a good neighbor. Obviously, the stuff Nick mentioned, lighting and all that stuff, we're going to comply with all that. And you know, the site doesn't have much landscaping now, hardly at all. So I mean, we'll have a lot more landscaping than what's there today, and freshen it up and make it look nice. And obviously, have any questions about the company or how we operate or anything, we don't do any franchising, so this is owned and operated by Wawa. All 1,100 or so stores that we have are owned and operated by Wawa.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick and Casey. And Caleb, I actually jumped the gun a little bit. I forgot to, I did mention I was going to read a statement from Mr. Brand, who owns the apartment complex, in my original staff report, and I did not read that originally, so I did want to add that to it. This was sent to me via email back on May 15th. So Mr. Brand said, Nick, I am George Brand, managing member of Hydale LLC, the owner of 2705 Lehigh Place in Moraine. As Casey has said, all of the tenants of 2705 Lehigh Place are on a month-to-month lease except one. Many of these tenants have been with me for many years. To date, I have only had conversation with one tenant about this project. He has been a tenant of mine for a long time. I'm currently working with him to find a house for him that he can rent for me in the Moraine or West Carrollton area, as he wants to keep his family in the West Carrollton School District. I have not spoken with the other tenants in the building, as this project has just begun. I do own 2 other apartment buildings in Moraine, one at 4825 Lauderdale Drive and one at 4833 Lauderdale Drive. I also own apartment buildings in West Carrollton, Kettering, and the city of Dayton. As this project progresses, it is my intent to offer the tenants of 2705 Lehigh Place apartments at these properties as apartments become available. I'd love to retain all the tenants at 2705 Lehigh Place as my tenants because they are a great group of people. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the May 20th meeting. I was just operated on for the removal of cancer on May 13th, 2025, and I am just beginning my recovery. I do believe this project will be a great asset to the city of Moraine. It will provide another thriving business and create jobs in the city. It will also increase the value of all the properties in the neighborhood. Since I will not be able to attend the meeting, if it would be beneficial to have a representative for me as a property owner, I could have my son attend. Please let me know. If there's anything else you need from me as the owner of 2705 Lehigh Place, please let me know. Thanks, Hydale LLC, George Brand, managing member. I just want to add that letter that I received from him with my staff report, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to open the floor to anybody from the community who has any opposition or are a proponent of this. You've got 3 minutes, so feel free to step up, state your name for us.
My name is Jeanette Marcus. I've been a resident of the community for 40-plus years. I've been a city council member. This is my 18th year on city council. And I can truthfully say, in my time in city council, I have never seen a worse plan brought before council or the planning commission. This is not a benefit to the city. This is a catastrophe. This means the partial destruction of my ward. There is no reason for this. I will call your attention to the map you got, the one with the green showing the lot. If you will notice, the main streets, Springboro Pike and South Dixie, are marked off with red. There is no access there because it is too dangerous. That intersection has multiple accidents. I've seen many of them. If you look further at the side streets, you will notice that on Manistee and Lehigh both, there are residents. On Pensacola, back behind it, there is our only playground owned by the city for our children. In our recent city parks and recreation assessment that we had done, they pointed out that this park was a benefit due to its walkability its residents could walk there within 11 minutes. And this community is a walking community. There is a lot of pedestrian traffic there. That playground is used. Every entrance and exit on here is on Manistee, Lehigh, and Pensacola. All residential streets, all put in like the 40s and 50s. They are not safe for the kind of traffic. This is talking about bringing traffic from West Carrollton, off the interstate, Dayton. It's ridiculous. It's a catastrophe waiting to happen. Look at the part of it close to South Dixie. My understanding, those are gas pumps. What do you think's going to happen when someone comes flying down Dixie from West Carrollton and can't stop and hits those gas pumps?
Probably the same thing that happened when the city of West Carrollton fire truck come across the same road and ran through Frisch's.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to have an explosion kind of thing. That lot is at a higher elevation than the homes around it. And about 25 years ago, before I was on council, someone put up billboards in that area. They could be seen all the way to in my front yard near Lamb Road. I'm clear over near Lamb Road, and I could see them. There's no way you can put lights on that and buffer it from the community. You're going to have noise. You're going to have fumes. People in those duplexes on Lehigh, they sit out on their front porches and they grill out. They talk to their neighbors. Who wants to walk out their front door and see this mess? That apartment building is the buffer between the Frisch's building part and the residential community. You take that away, there's no protection. That is our protection against people trying to do something like Wawa and our city manager is trying to do now. Changing this would be a catastrophe. Now,
So the residents, in your opinion, that live in that building, their needs are useless because for them living there gives you a protection.
that building gives us a protection. Their needs are not useless. They're part of the community. We have no problem that I'm aware of with that building.
But you're using those residents as a shield, you're saying. That's your words.
No, I left out something. Okay. Every other commercial lot on Springboro Pike or South Dixie that borders the neighborhood has an alleyway behind it. And it backs up, that alleyway, those houses back up, it's their backyards in between. The Frisch's lot has no such alleyway. And this business, it's going to have to be accessed through Pensacola, and that includes tanker trucks full of hundreds or thousands of gallons of gasoline. And so you're taking away, you're saying the rest of the thing gets a buffer zone from this alleyway, and these people do not. The people that own there do not.
Can I speak as a resident of that area?
Sure.
That particular alley that you're talking about is not a good thing. It doesn't buffer from much activity. It, in fact, encourages illegal activity.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it does give some type of a thing in between it. And this is not necessary. I am not against a Wawa. In fact, I can tell you right now that within a 10 minute walk of this is a better property for a Wawa owned and for sale by the city of Moraine. And it has access on Kettering Boulevard, on South Dixie Drive. It's bigger than this one.
Ms. Marcus, after this statement, we'll have to finish up and go to the next person. We are over the 3-minute limit.
Well, I know the property that you're referring to. But that property has not quite the visibility that this piece of property has. I understand why Wawa wants this piece of property, very clearly. If a smaller gas station were to go and not need the apartment building, would you be opposed to that?
Yes.
So you're opposed to any type of gas station?
We have 4 gas station convenience stores within a 10-minute walk of that property. We don't need a 5th. How much flammable materials are you going to bring into a residential community?
Well-
And it's walkable. If this goes on, what about the children who go to that back and forth to that playground? They're not going to be able to run back and forth across Lehigh there. We already have trouble with Lehigh. We have cars coming off of Springboro Pike that don't slow down. They get onto Lehigh and they gun it and they go right on through, and it's dangerous. I complained clear back when Dave Hicks was manager. We need to protect the community. And this doesn't do that. And I disagree about the visibility of the other one. And I have talked to 2 residents who live near that property, and they both say they would love to have a Wawa there. They think it would be great. And one of them, just minutes after this appeared on Channel 2, called me complaining about this. She does not want one at Freesia. She realizes it's dangerous. And
Is she
she's
here?
not a member of city council, so it's not Mrs. Allen.
Is she here
What?
tonight?
No, she won't come out because she's afraid of storms.
We're going to wrap this up with this being past the 3-minute, so thank you. If there's anyone else that would like to come up and speak.
How you guys doing? My name is Stephen Watson. I'm one of the tenants at 2705 Lehigh Place. I have a few notes right here. So I do have a couple concerns I would like to voice, but before I do, I will say there is a good amount of local economic potential for the proposed Wawa. I won't deny that, and it's hard for me to argue with that, as that is a strong reason to build it, but I still do have concerns nonetheless. The first one being a lesser concern, but the concern nonetheless is the noise concern for the neighborhood. While I don't believe Marine has a sound ordinance, I don't think people in that neighborhood will appreciate the sound from the demolition and building of this. And from the looks of it, there will be a lot of noise considering how much work I believe needs done to accomplish this. Also, once it's done, it will attract more traffic into the neighborhood considering the entrances and exits on how they're laid out, which again is more noise pollution that the residents of the neighborhood would have to deal with, especially considering this is a 24-hour gas station and food service business. And then my second point is the reacquisition of the tenants. The landlord, George Brand, has said that as this progresses and potentially gets approved, his intent would be to make his other properties available for tenants as his units become available themselves. But he also states in the letter sent to tenants yesterday, I never really know when apartments become available as people move all the time depending on their circumstances, desires, and their lease agreements. So while I'm aware he means well, and I definitely wouldn't mind moving just across the street or to one of his West Carrollton properties, that's only if they become available, and not to mention there's a minimum of 8 tenants that also live in that apartment that need rehoused. While I would prefer nothing more than for George just to continue being my landlord and I move across the street, as he is a pretty good landlord, it's not promised. And everyone in that building except for one tenant is on a month-to-month lease currently, so while it would be legal to give tenants only 1 month notice for eviction, I don't feel like it's the right thing to do. Before I was a resident at Lehigh Place, it took me 8 months to secure an affordable apartment and get approved. The market for apartments currently isn't the best, if anyone was wondering. So I guess my biggest hope for this plan is that if it does go through, is that the planners and that everyone involved can give George Brand enough notice to not only potentially help us get rehoused with his units, but if he cannot, to at least give the tenants 2 to 3 months notice versus an only 1 month notice. Again, while a 1 month notice is legal, I don't believe it's fair nor right to me or the tenants. But other than that, those are my only 2 concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Do we have anybody else?
That's all I have on my end.
This time we'll close the public hearing and open it up to discussion with the planning committee.
I have a couple of questions. You're the project manager, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Casey Abney.
Casey Adams?
Abney, A-B-N-E-Y.
Oh, Abby. On the plan that we do have before us.
Yes, sir.
We do have entrances and exits from this property that are on residential streets.
That is correct, yep.
That does have a slight bit of a concern, especially Manatee. That side of the property is elevated quite heavily from the street level.
Yep.
Are you planning on taking the entire property down in height?
We have not completed a full grading report on this site quite yet, but I would assume that it probably does call for us to bring the property down a little bit,
Okay.
just based on driving around earlier and checking it out.
Obviously, you want to get your traffic flow out and into the business, away from the busy intersection.
That is correct.
At one time, that particular intersection was the fourth busiest in the state of Ohio. Since then, of course, we've lost GM and a bunch of other major businesses that we had. So I understand fully the view that you want on this property from the highway. Having the electric charging stations is news to me. That is a big plus. That really is a big plus. West Carrollton has it, and I believe they put that in themselves. And we, at this time, I don't think we have a plan on putting on, will we?
We've got them at Tesla.
At Tesla, but not immediately off the highway.
No.
Is there a proposal, or is there a view different from what we're looking at here for entrances in and out of your property that could be obtained?
At this time, there is not. This is really what works for our operation, but then also, we really kind of see this as a benefit to the existing conditions. If the Frisch's were to be leased to another restaurant, they would be able to keep the existing curb cuts off South Dixie and off 741, where the speed limit increases substantially. So we view this as a benefit to the current vehicular circulation. I can also say that we did complete a traffic study. It was submitted to the city, I believe, late last week. I don't know if the city engineer is here tonight or has any comments on that, but I can say that the traffic study showed that the level of service for the existing roadways is acceptable to the trips that are going to be generated by this new business, and then also the current line of sight triangles upon clearing of the site and removal of the trees would be acceptable for all three of the proposed curb cuts on Manistee, on Pensacola, and Lehigh.
And your semi-deliveries, which entrance of these three do you believe your semis for delivery of the petroleum would come in?
At this time, I can't answer that question. We will run an AutoCAD AutoTurn exhibit on that, and the engineers are required to do that at the beginning. I don't have an engineer with me today that can kind of speak to that.
Okay. Because these are tight turns.
Yep.
And if they are coming off of 75 to this property, they would have to come down Manatee. And Manatee is a very, very narrow road now, the way it sits.
Yep.
I don't believe a semi could turn there.
I can't, again, I'm not a semi-truck
I
driver,
agree.
but I will say Wawa would not go for a location if the semis in their fleet cannot enter the site to refuel the fuel pumps and then also provide all the merchandise in the store.
Okay.
They have very strict requirements for
I
turning
would imagine.
exhibits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy, I'm going to have the city engineer, Lauren, come up and help kind of answer some of those concerns
Okay.
that you may have after reviewing they did, Bayer and Becker complete a 50-page engineer report for Lauren, so she'll help explain some of the things associated with it.
So I was able to review the traffic impact report that they provided with us. It has all of the traffic information as well as projected values and such. Of course, there would be an increase on these surface roads, but based upon where they have their drive entries, most of the traffic will be from the entry to either Springboro or Dixie. And from my experience doing C-stores in previous companies, I can say that the truck turns will be provided with the fueling, and I cannot foresee them going any further than right inside the entrances. I believe there is more than enough truck turn movement, as well as we'll be working with them as these plans develop into something to be able to see those kind of things. Any further questions from the impact?
In your opinion, is Lehigh wide enough to turn a semi in off of?
Yes.
Off of 741?
Yes, the road is plenty wide enough, as well as the
How many
Springboro Pike.
how many times, in your opinion, do you think the semi making the right-hand turn will have to encroach into the oncoming traffic lane to make that turn?
Depending on the skill of the driver, if they are an experienced driver, never.
My concern is we are talking about a residential street where we do have quite a few residents that do exit that plat out Lehigh, and they can sit at a stop sign, not a red light, a stop sign. Then we would have a semi backing up on 741, waiting for that car then to be able to exit Lehigh so he could make the turn down Lehigh.
The drive distance from Springboro Pike to the access drive that is on Lehigh is more than enough to stack 3 semis, and in respect, 8 cars-ish. So if the traffic is stacking that far, which the traffic numbers do not indicate that it would still allow for cars to turn onto Lehigh and wait for the truck to make its turn.
Okay.
But these numbers and their studies do not indicate that.
Okay. What time of day do you believe most deliveries of fuel would be coming to this station?
I know most of our deliveries occur between 7 and 11 a.m.
AM?
Yeah, and fuel's 2 to 3 times a week. I don't know if that's written in stone anywhere, but broadly speaking, 7 to 11 is our general time frame.
We're about to open up a new potato chip factory up the street. And the potential are 2, 3, 4 more hundred employees coming to the city of Moraine. We are getting to a level, hopefully, with Fuyao and with the new potato chip factory and maybe some other companies coming in, that this intersection will achieve the traffic flow that it once had. Given that the potential of a semi sitting on that road to make that turn tight as it would be, I would suggest that we do a late night delivery after hours, because 8 o'clock in the morning, high traffic flow, especially right there. And I'm also talking as far as the residents coming out, joining that traffic flow. That's just me making a comment. I would be concerned, though, guys, with the semi being able to turn into these 2 streets, either one of these 2 streets. That's literally my only concern right at this point. They're very tight streets. They're very, very tight streets. And if we got people coming out, it's going to be even harder, coming out of the Platts. Lehigh is a through cutway, a main street that goes over to Lamb Road from 741. And a lot of people do use that road.
School buses make that turn.
School buses are 15 feet shorter.
And
But they've got a fixed wheelbase,
And a
Yep.
fixed wheelbase, I'll give
which
you
makes it
that.
harder to turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, and I mean, the 2 curb cuts are so close to Dixie, I mean, the trucks aren't gonna be going any further beyond that, so. And if you look at the plan, I mean, most of our drive widths, internal to our site are 30 to 35 feet. I think they're 30 on here.
Right.
Where, most commercial businesses use 24 feet is kind of a standard. So we do accommodate more room on site to make at least their on-site movements, which, when you get to that exit to leave, does make it a little easier.
Lane 30 feet. That's 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's 30.
Right, where a lot of businesses you see use 24 is just kind of a, normal number, but we do ours bigger intentionally for that reason.
Right. And a question was brought up about lighting itself.
Sure, we use all, downward facing, full cutoff fixtures, and we'll meet the lighting code, no questions asked.
What about perimeter screening from your property to the residence? Do you have any type of thoughts on that at all?
Do we have landscape yet?
No, at this time, based on the submittal requirements for this stage of the rezoning process, we have not provided any lighting or landscaping plans. However, I can promise that we can have that before the next city council meeting.
Right. So yeah, they would be required to supply a tree every 50 feet that has at least 15 foot of growth at the crown at maturity, which will help kind of create a little bit of a barrier. And I think we can also work with them as well with kind of having more of a transition between the neighborhood and the Wawa site itself to kind of help transition it from the neighborhood to the B1 district area, as the B1 district area does run all the way down through there from South Dixie all the way down 741 to Holes Creek on that side of the road. So it is a good transition for a zoning district. So
And we're happy to go over the code a little bit if we need to help soften that transition a little bit. I mean, if it's every 50 feet, if we need to do every 30 feet or whatever it is, if we can do a little extra landscaping to help soften that, we're happy to do it.
perfect.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, good.
If it's okay, I might like to offer one response to some of the comments we heard.
Yeah, sure.
On the safety side, as far as the underground tanks and stuff go and, fumes and whatnot, there's several things that you need to do to be safe. First of all is having a double-walled fiberglass tank, which we do. Second is having a leak detection system, which we do. And third is using corrosion-proof materials, which we do. Right around the time in the 90s when we started selling fuel is when the government cracked down on all this, and there was actual code requirements, and we've exceeded the code since day one, since we started selling fuel. And, we've got 1,100 stores. We've got a track record that's very good. Anybody can Google that, but, we're not a fly-by-night. We've been around forever, with a very good track record.
Thank you.
I have some questions for you, Nick.
Sure.
On a B1 proposal, let's just say, let's take Wawa out of the consideration here. The existing land dynamic that Frisch's sits on now. With the B1 district, could a gas station come into there right now?
As they would have to abide by all the setbacks and everything, and with looking at that site, it would be, we would have to have a site proposal, but with the shape of that land and everything, it would make it very difficult with the way it is currently. But could a gas station go there? Absolutely. A convenience store could go there if it's small enough, could go on that current site to where, say if you had a BP convenience store, that sat alone right there, they could go there. We can't withhold them from going there with it already being zoned as a B1 district.
Well, as an example, I'm looking at that Speedway gas station in West Carrollton right there that's beside or close to the post office. That lot size that particular station sits on might be 100 by 65. I mean, it's small, but
Right.
there's a gas station sitting there. And if Speedway or BP or Shell or anybody else could fit on that lot, a B1 would let them go on there,
Absolutely.
and there would be no need to have this.
Correct. Yep. They wouldn't even come before this.
Son of a gun.
With Wawa coming to us, that's a very unique opportunity from a Speedway, a BP, a Shell, Sunoco, Marathon, everything that you see every day driving down the street. This is something that's unique and interesting, and we're very glad that they came and approached us about this.
So the only thing that we're here tonight to really look at and determine is whether or not that the rezoning of the apartment building is justifiable to the Wawa.
Correct. Yes.
Anybody else have any questions, concerns, opinions?
I'm going to comment a little bit here. So I think all the concerns are justifiable. I think that they are need to be heard. But I also want to add to kind of the positive outlook of that is you've got competitors going up to Huber Heights currently right now, and that kind of comes with a cult following in and of itself. Having been down south as well, Wawa comes with its cult following as well. So I think one of the things as you plan for these things, looking at truly the like you were mentioning a speedway, a BP, things like that, you got to bring something that attracts. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't come without its kinks, but at the same time, you have something that you compete now with the Huber Heights area, where people can go that in between. That is, if you live in between and it's 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes this way, people will choose. And so ultimately, I do believe that there are some things to work out, but when you look at this, what it brings to our community and the value in that is a huge weight on what we need to consider. So.
I agree. Yeah, I do. I agree as well, because while there are some drawbacks and there will be some concessions that will have to be made, as long as the landlord agrees to, and Wawa agrees to our concerns, I think that the benefits far outweigh disadvantages.
I did want to add too, with the B1 district, we do have a Sunoco gas station that does reside in the B1 district over at South Dixie and Stroop, over on that corner. We also do have a Marathon gas station that resides on Kettering Boulevard as well, just to give an example. If this was a Marathon or Sunoco or one of those sort of proposals, this would be a totally different story, and I think a different outlook. With this providing jobs, economic benefits, an attraction to Moraine, and someone willing to help take out the eyesore of Frisch's, I think this is, we're pretty much honored to have something like this come before us. So that's just something I wanted to add to it. Thank you.
Anything else? Howard?
Good.
Have a motion to call a vote
On the reproposal.
on the reproposal of Lehigh Place, 2705 Lehigh Place, from R4 to B1.
Somebody make a motion?
Do you have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Have a roll?
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Delph?
Yes.
Mr. Noel?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Stapleton?
Yes. Motion passes. Do we have any other business today?
I have nothing further, Mr. Stapleton. Thank you.
Anyone else wants it?
Does anybody else like to speak? At this time, it's 6:44, and we will close the Planning Commission meeting for May 20th, 2025. Thank you.